It's the radio guy, Mike Prince. Welcome to the SWAC Zone. Of course, we try to get together with the guru himself when it comes to basketball in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. This week will be no exception to the rule. Coach Van Pettaway, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fine, Dr. Prince. It's another great day that we all have, and we just need to enjoy it.
Yes, sir. Enjoy it to the most. Before we get into our basketball recaps and everything, what a rough night for the Horned Frogs, and the Georgia Bulldogs just relentlessly unleashed on them, man.
Right. Well, it just goes to show that we learned that you cannot put a Horned Frog in the same arena with a Bulldog because it's going to be disastrous.
And that it was. Boy, they had it close at one time. It was 10-7, and the gates of Georgia woke up and said, what are we doing? Let's go on and finish this thing. And back-to-back championships, that's a feat within itself. But congratulations to both of them. They did earn the right to get there. I know you've been in the lovely state of Alabama. They talking about Alabama would have put up a better contest, and even Michigan, but they didn't win the necessary games. And the Horned Frogs got there, and they just got blown out. But they
Yeah, that was brutal. That's probably one of the I know for me, that's one of the worst championship in terms of deficit that I've seen.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I can't recall anything like that myself, Coach. And I know you got a few years on me, but that was just amazing, absolutely amazing. But you know what else has been amazing, Coach? I know it's still early in conference play for the Southwestern Athletic Conference when it comes to basketball, and we're going to go through and break down the scoring and recaps. Do you think after 4 games, you get a sense of what type of squad you have and what the season projects itself to be?
Well, no, I don't think it's a true test. What it does, it confirms some of the things that you saw in the preseason, but you won't get a true test until you've seen everybody and you've played everybody at least once. So I think it's still early. I think we got some surprises on both sides, both men and women, and then we've got the same old on both sides too now. Because some of the teams that we expected to win, they're doing that. Some who we did expect to win are not. So, and I think it's holding true on both sides for the men and the women.
Okay, now who do you feel surprised as winning, and who do you feel surprised as losing?
Well, on the losing side, Florida A&M, both men and women, they're on the losing side, and I didn't expect it. I expected to see more out of both of those teams, and when it comes to basketball. And then, of course, on the men's side, to have the defending champion Texas Southern 0-4, I don't think anybody saw that coming. So and then on. For Grambling to be as strong as they have been in the preseason, and then also show it, even though they do have that one loss on the men's side, I still think that they're showing that they're ready to play. And then when you look at the women's standings, you got everybody knew that Jackson State's women would be out there, but how many people expected Prairie View to be 3-1 at this particular time? And then for Grambling and Prairie View to be 3-1, and it's just a log jam from 2 through 6 on the women's side. Everybody's still chasing Jackson State, who are at this point of 3-0. So I think it's shaping out where the contenders are showing that they're ready to play on the women's side, and then on the men's side, I think it's a downer to have both FAMU and Texas Southern at the bottom.
Yes, sir. Now, in regards to Texas Southern, they've been dealing with a lot of injuries and key players not out. Not that that's an excuse, because we all have to deal with injuries and adjust, but in particular with Texas Southern, because they have been so basketball rich throughout the years. And when you think of Texas Southern, at least when I do, I automatically think of basketball over football.
Oh, yes, absolutely, absolutely. I think that's been their flag bearer for the last 10 years. So you have to look at it that way.
Yes, sir. And I guess we can play the identification game, Coach, since I brought that up. I'll go through the list, and we're just going to stick to either football and basketball on what you associate that program with. And we'll save your beloved Bulldogs for last. But Alabama State.
Football.
Okay. Alcorn.
Oh, football.
Southern University.
Football.
Grambling.
Football.
Jackson State.
Football.
FAMU.
Football.
Bethune-Cookman.
Football.
University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff.
Basketball.
Mississippi Valley.
Basketball.
We've already identified Texas Southern. Prairie View, A&M University.
Basketball.
Alabama A&M.
Football.
Wow.
That's the way I see it.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised at that one.
Okay.
I am. When you go up and down that list, Coach, we got a lot of, I guess, unbalance. Would that be a good word?
Correct.
When it comes to football and basketball?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. For a minute, I thought you was on a football spree for a minute, Coach.
Well, the way you were calling them, for me, it was football. Yeah. When you think of those schools, you're not really thinking about a lot of the basketball programs because their football programs have been so dominant.
Right.
I mean, yes, Alcorn State men won the conference championship last year, but that's the first time they've won a basketball championship in years. You for the last 10 years, you've looked at their football program as being one of the flagship of that school. Jackson State. Now, if we were talking on the women's side, I would have said women's basketball versus football because football just came into play with Deion Sanders coming in there.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson State football has been gone for a while, but the basketball program has been pretty consistent since. The women's program has been consistent since Coach has been there, so she's done an outstanding job. So I guess it depends on the season whether or not that sport is going to be the flagship for that particular school. Okay.
And we've had this conversation before. If I'm an up-and-coming athletic director, and I know football is king, in particular in the South, but I would put a few more eggs in my basketball basket than my football basket because I can get a quicker turnaround and result from my investment. And you can, build a pretty strong name because when I think of North Carolina, football is the last thing on my mind.
Right.
When I think of Duke, football is the last thing on my mind, with the exception of this year when you think of Kansas, football is far from your mind. So you can still have a strong presence with a solid and consistent basketball program.
Right. Same thing at Kentucky. When you think about Kentucky, you don't think about football.
Right.
They do have a pretty decent football program. But now if I was an athletic director and I want to win a Commissioner's Cup, I'm going to be investing in my Olympic sport.
Yes, sir.
Because they're the ones that are going to win the championship for you. You gotta have those other sports to be competitive and be at the championship level in order to win a Commissioner's Cup. So if you put all your eggs into just football or basketball, that you're not going to get enough points.
No doubt about it. And you know how I feel about the Commissioner's Cup. I think it's kind of lopsided. I think you ought to have at least two categories, a large program and a smaller program, because There's no way you can compare 14 programs to 18 programs or even 16 programs, because you just don't have enough points to win unless you win in championships in all your 14 programs. And we know that's not highly likely.
That's correct. That's correct.
You know, so it's interesting, some good thoughts, and thanks for that feedback, sir. Now I guess we can get into our recap, what we really came here for, huh?
Okay, all right. Well, on the women's side, I mean, this was a great last Saturday and last night was a great weekend for SWAC basketball. And we're going to start on the women's side, and we're going down to Arkansas Pine Bluff, where they played host to Texas Southern, and they won that game 89-71.
Yes, sir.
Arkansas Pine Bluff. And then we're going down to Baton Rouge, where they hosted Florida A&M, and the Jaguars won that game 55-49. And next up on the list on Saturday was Jackson State playing host to Alabama State. They won that game 90-48. Now that score, 90-48, was a shocker to me. I mean, I expected Jackson to win, but I thought Bama State would put a better fight.
Well, you know, you wonder, was it some injuries or was Jackson that dominant that night?
Yeah, well, we'll find out when they play Monday, and I think our question was answered on Monday night. And then you go down to Grambling, Louisiana. Grambling played host to Bethune-Cookman, and here's a surprise: Bethune-Cookman won that game 63-46.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then on to Itta-Bena, Mississippi, where they played host to your Prairie View Panthers, and Prairie View won that game 92-67.
Yes, sir.
They're on the roll. And then last but not least, the Bulldogs were at Alcorn State, and Our Lady Bulldogs won that game 63-56. So that took care of Saturday. Now, as we move on to last night, Monday night, Jackson State answered my question that I had about the game on Saturday. They played host to my Bulldogs, and they won that game 63-35. So that told me that Jackson State is who we thought they were. They can really play. They held the Bulldogs to only 2 points in the second quarter. 10 minutes of basketball, and they only scored 2 points. So they're ready to play. And then next up, down at Lorman, Mississippi, Alcorn State played host to Alabama State. One of the most exciting games of the year so far for the women. Bama State won that game 93-91.
Yes.
Yes, and then down at Grambling, Grambling played host to Florida A&M. They won that game 71-68. And up at Southern, played host to Bethune-Cookman. Southern won that game 65-63. They really battled in that game. And then, of course, the upset of the I'm sorry, not the upset, but Mississippi Valley played host to Texas Southern, and Texas Southern won that game 77-61. Mm-hmm. And then down at Arkansas Pine Bluff, they hosted your Prairie View Panthers, and Prairie View came on top 62-60.
Yeah,
so,
thrilling game that was. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So see, on the women's side, you got Jackson State 3-0, Alabama State, Southern, Prairie View, Alabama A&M, and Grambling State. They're all at 3-1.
Well, you know, Jackson State is coming to town Saturday, and we'll square that up either one way or the other. Either Prairie View's going to go to 4-1, Jackson's going to fall to 3-1, or go to 4-0. So we'll see how this should be a very good game. We can't wait for that one to get off.
Right. And then now we go to the men's side. On the men's side, Arkansas Pine Bluff on Saturday played host to Texas Southern. Arkansas Pine Bluff won that game 70-66. And down at Grambling, Louisiana, Grambling played host to Bethune-Cookman. They won that game 76-70. In Jackson, Mississippi, Jackson State took care of Alabama State 61-58. And down at Baton Rouge, Southern played host to Florida A&M. They won 84-66. And at Alcorn, in Lorman, Mississippi. Alcorn played host to my Bulldogs. They won that game 89-76 after having the Bulldogs down by 28.
Wow.
And then, of course, down at Mississippi Valley, your Prairie View Panthers came out on top 67-60.
Yes, sir.
And that led us up to last night, where down in Jackson, they held the Bulldogs to 64 points. Jackson State won that game 72-64. Down at Alcorn State took care of Alabama State 92-76. And then down at Grambling took care of Florida A&M. They beat them 62-57. And Mississippi Valley played host to Texas Southern. And the upset of the night on Monday night was Mississippi Valley 71, Texas Southern 67. Southern played host to Bethune-Cookman, and they beat the brakes off of them 102-75 was that score. And then down in Pine Bluff, they played host to your Prairie View Panthers, and they won that game 63-55. And in my opinion, that's an upset for everyone.
Yes, sir.
And then on the men's side, Southern's leading the conference right now at 4-0. Jackson State is 3-0. Grambling is 3-1. Alcorn State is 2-1. Alabama A&M 2-2, and Prairie View is 2-2. So right now, with Southern being the front runner, but we've seen this before. The last 3 years, they've started out like a man on fire, but things will cool off for Southern down the stretch. So we're in a wait-and-see game right now.
Yes, sir. Now, I know it's still early. Are you surprised at the play of Jackson State so far?
Yes, I am. I don't think anybody picked Jackson State to be 3-0 at this particular point in the season. I think coming into the preseason, they were picked along with A&M down toward the bottom, they were like 9-10. So they're one of the surprise teams, or the surprise team on the men's side. And
yes, sir.
A surprise the other way with Texas Southern being 0-4.
No doubt. Now, Coach, here's the thing when it comes to basketball, which kind of makes me a bit lukewarm. And you know what the scripture says, either you're hot or cold. If you're lukewarm, I spit you out. But it's almost like the regular season doesn't really matter as long as you can get and qualify for the tournament.
Well, the regular season has to matter because you get a better seeding if you concentrate on the regular season. And then you want to be playing consistent basketball leading into that tournament in order for you to even have a shot at winning that tournament.
Yes, sir.
And it's tough to play 4 straight days. You don't have very many tournament champions that play 4 consecutive days. So that bye is very important so that you can get that day of rest.
Well, I know that's the theory behind it, but I look at that bye as a blessing and a curse. Because, like I said, if you qualify for the tournament, and you could start off in, for instance, like a Texas Southern, you 0-4, and as they begin to put the pieces together mid-season and toward the end of the season, they start gelling and playing like they were initially picked to play, and they get into the tournament as a 7 or 8 seed. And sometimes, just because you're a 7 and 8 seed, a lot of teams don't want to see you. They don't want to see you. And that bye sometimes can break up your rhythm. I know you get a chance to rest, but a lot of guys will prefer to keep playing.
Right, that's true. But the other thing that the bye does for you, if you got little nagging injuries, it gives your players a time to heal. And then there's different theories on it. Some guys like to just keep playing, and some need that rest. Because if you don't have a deep bench, you want that rest, that extra rest.
Right.
The teams that come in with a solid bench, they can go through those 4 days, but that's grueling on a team that has a short bench.
No doubt about it. Well, we'll be, as I say, counting the days and adding up the victories as we get closer to that tournament time in Birmingham. And we're already, believe it or not, Coach, we're working on that tournament coverage right now as we speak, sir.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Well, we got another exciting week ahead. One of the big games that I'm looking forward to, Southern and Grambling, they're going to be facing off Saturday in Baton Rouge, and that HBCU Go has that game. And then the other game that I'm looking forward to, my Bulldogs are going to on Monday they'll be going to Mobile to play their rival, Alabama State,
Mm-hmm.
in the first of a series of games that's supposed to take place over the next 6 years. Both schools have been guaranteed $100,000 per home game, and it's going to be interesting to see if the city of Mobile can pull this off.
Okay, so they got a basketball class that they created?
Correct. There's a basketball classic that will be played in Mobile for the next 6 years. A&M is the first team to host it, and they have been guaranteed, since it's their home game. When it's your home game, you've been guaranteed $100,000.
Now, do the visitors get anything?
I'm not privy to that information. But I don't see why they would, because if the game was played in Huntsville, we would not be giving you anything to come to Huntsville. And to be honest, it's closer for Bama State. It's not that far for Bama State to go to Mobile.
Okay. Well, that'll be interesting to see. We'll keep a tab on that, sir. Well, as always, man, we thank you for the insights, the information, everything that's going on, and how your broadcast been coming out so far, man. It's always good when you call a winner, though, right?
Oh yes. We got a nice setup there in the new event center, and I just look forward to when A&M will get back. I was expecting this game against the rival because this is probably their only chance to sell it out this year. But with that game being in Mobile, that still has the alumni up in the air because they always want to see their rival in Huntsville.
Yes, sir.
We're looking forward to it, and we've had some great broadcasts. We have a great staff that puts everything together. All I have to do is just show up, and that's the way I like it.
I know that's right. Now, when you go to Mobile, will you guys broadcast that game, or how would that work out?
No, it's not. I'm not broadcasting. No, I'm not going to be a part. I don't think the university is not going to broadcast the game.
That'll be a shame, man. Because that's always a good rival game. You'd like to see that one.
Right, but I think they've already made that decision that we're not going. So, so be it. They'll be playing in a nice arena now. The Mitchell Center, which is on the campus of South Alabama, is a nice arena. But we'll see if the Gulf Coast people will come out and support that game.
Okay, well, hopefully they will, and hopefully the money clears, and you all come back 100,000 heavier than what you get left with.
Yeah, it would be nice.
Yes, sir. Now, Coach, do you have any spoiler alerts or upset alerts for this weekend's matchups?
Well, I'm looking at this. You hurt me or confused me when you say Texas Southern has the injuries. Jackson State is coming to Prairie View on the men's side. That's going to be an intriguing matchup now. With Jackson State being undefeated in the SWAC so far, can PV get it right at home? That's an upset. That's a game that could be an upset. That's a game that could be an upset right there on the men's side. Now, on the women's side, I don't expect your Lady Panthers to be able to handle Jackson State. That would be an upset if Coach Pugh could pull that off. I'm not sure if her Chargers are ready for that.
Well, that game has really been intriguing for more than one reason on our end. Because Jackson State has been a very dominant program over the past few years, and it appears that Coach Pugh finally has her pieces in place, and this will be their first, as they say, tall order that they really have to respond to. And I want to see how this thing goes, how they adjust and readjust throughout the course of the game.
Yep. That'll be interesting to see. But we'll be I'll be switching over to the PV Network, seeing if I can see some of the action. or I might be picking it up on the radio. But I would be picking it up some kind of way.
Well, that's good you said that, sir, because they always can pick it up here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Go to the website at obnradio.com, click on the 24-hour stream, and you'll have everything you need right at your fingertips. Coach, that was almost like we wrote that up, man. That was all right. I appreciate that, sir, very much, very much. Well, look, we're coming to the end of this segment, sir, and as customary, I'll give you some closing thoughts and comments.
Well, like always, Dr. Prince continues to do what you've been commissioned to do. This is sorely needed, and thank you for the opportunity to be a part.
Well, thank you, sir, and we're going to keep continuing on and carrying on till we can't be carried no more. He is the guru of basketball for the Southwestern Athletic Conference and the Open Mic Broadcast Network. The good, I'm calling you doctor today, the good doctor, Coach Van Pettaway. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. We want to thank you guys for joining in on this segment of the SWAC Zone. We're going to pause for the calls, and we'll be right back, so don't you dare go anywhere. You're listening to the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
We are the station designed with you in mind, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, where we are serving the community through faith and athletics since 2002. We are located in Prairie View, Texas, where we are dedicated to serving the local community with sporting events, church services, and information. You're invited to tune in and to join us each Sunday morning for Temple of Refuge Ministries live broadcast, Building the Kingdom one soul at a time, Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Central Time. Each Monday through Friday, tune in to hear the Mike Prince Show as he covers the world of HBCU sports and beyond. This show has become the driving force for daily information when it comes to HBCU athletics since 2002. And tune in to listen to the SWAC Zone each Saturday mornings. The Open Mic Broadcast Network covers Little League, high school, and college athletics. We also broadcast local community parades and events. And you can check us out on YouTube for our latest content. If you would like to help us support our broadcast, you may do so by making a donation at www.obnradio.com. We are the station designed with you in mind, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, where we are serving the community through faith and athletics since 2002.
And welcome back to the SWAC Zone, the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince, here with you. As promised, man, we're always trying to work out something for your entertainment and insight, and we are extremely proud to introduce to some and present to others one of the new voices for men's basketball at Prairie View, Coach Sky. How you doing today, Coach?
Good morning. How are you doing, sir?
And I said Coach Sky, forgive me, Coach Ski, sir, and
That's
forgive
okay.
me for that. You know, well, look, first and foremost, let me say welcome to the Open Mic family. And for those who are saying, who is this Coach Ski and where he come from? I know where you come from, but we're going to have to brace you folks from where you come from, Coach. So without any further delay, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people, sir.
Richard, my real name is Narleski White, but everybody's called me Coach Ski. I started off as a junior college coach at Southwestern Christian College, left Southwestern Christian College in 2008 to work on the women's basketball staff at Texas Southern University. So I was assistant coach there. While I was at Southwestern, I had the honor and privilege of being on the USA basketball team as a court coach. So I was selected as a court coach for USA basketball. Also, I was selected on the WBCA at the time for junior college as one of their committee members. So then now we transitioned to Texas Southern University women's basketball coach. I did that for 2-3 years, and I transitioned from that to working in athletic academics advising for men's basketball. Did that and left Texas Southern in 2016. Went to Texas Tech University. Was responsible for men and women's basketball at Texas Tech University. We made it to the Elite Eight. We lost in the national championship game to Virginia in overtime. We left there with men's basketball having the highest GPA in the history of Texas Tech University. And so now I transitioned to being the director of athletic academics here at Prairie View, this prestigious Prairie View A&M University. home of the Panthers, on the Hill. So I am here now, responsible for 18 sports. So that is a little bit about me.
All right. Well, look, I know the listening audience heard them curse words, and we didn't have the censor on at the time, but he does not come without any SWAC hours. And, man, we're just excited to have you on board. And you know how it is in this conference, man. We love on each other. We rag on each other, but we do support one another. And with that being said, I won't get into your day job aspects because we'll be here forever and a day. But we want to talk basketball, and SWAC basketball in particular, Prairie View basketball. We are excited to have you on the broadcast for men's basketball. And with the background that you have and some prior experience that you have working, in particular with Prairie View basketball, what do you look to as potential challenges and excitement on being on the team?
Well, one of the things I look for, we're speaking of the basketball team itself as a whole.
Yes, sir.
Okay, for men's basketball, I had the privilege of working when Coach Smith did work at Texas Southern University as assistant coach, so I'm very familiar with Coach Smith. Coach Smith does an outstanding job of preparing his kids. He wants his kids to be tough. He wants them to play fast, but he also wants them to play with very discipline. This team is different than other teams that he's had in the past since I've been here, since my arrival. I think this team is more experienced. One of the things that you can see, he went out and got a lot of graduate student athletes. And when you go get that kind of student athlete, you're also getting a lot of experience. And that's great because in this conference, freshmen can play and will play, but it's hard to grow up. It usually takes freshmen, in my experience, about that second year they start to get it. You know, the first year the lights are big, you're traveling here and there, and especially when you get into SWAC play, whether you're playing Texas Southern or if you're playing Alabama A&M, because when you lose at Alabama A&M, you got the keys going. You know, get on the bus. Or when you go to Alabama State, they're standing all over you. You know, so there's always uniqueness about this conference. But I think he's done a fantastic job. His tempo style is what I really like. He runs a lot of different type of sets. He'll run motion offense, which is a common, where you're constantly moving without the basketball. He runs a set called double, where he sets screens on the pick for Jeremiah Gambrell to come off and shoot. And then most of the times what you'll see is an isolation play where they use a lot of pick and roll, where they're either picking with Jeremiah Gambrell or one of the guards, and they're going to the hole. You got the post rolling to the basket. And then usually when that happens, somebody's always rolling up as a shooter on that side. So that's what I see for him. I think he took a tough loss at Pine Bluff the other night. But I do think they'll bounce back this weekend with Jackson and Alcorn.
Absolutely. Now, we unfortunately won't get you for the Jackson game, but we can't wait to release you for Alcorn. And I understand, brother, you have some pressing prior engagements, and yes. I don't want to see you get no whipping, even though I know you're a grown man. Yeah. But mama is going to always reign first, brother. So I understand that. Yes, sir. So with all the excitement that's coming on, Panthers are 2-2 right now as we speak, and looking forward to catapulting and getting into further treads on the tires, if you would. There are 3 seasons to basketball. We have our preseason, non-conference, the money games that we go to adjust the budgets. Then you have the conference play, which tunes you up for tournament play. And when you made the mention and the reference of the, I believe it was 10 grad students that are on that roster. It's close to 10, but it's a lot of them. This is that time of season you want to win, and we know it's all about winning. But right now, you're mixing and matching your pieces and seeing if they're going to get the right gel when it comes to tournament time, and you come in roll.
Right. I agree with you. I think also we have to remember that you talked about 2 seasons. When you're playing a non-conference schedule, they guard differently. They totally guard differently than how people will guard in the SWAC. Same basketball, but people guard differently, scout differently. Mm-hmm. So whereas you may come to the SWAC where a lot more teams are pressing and trapping, in most times, in most games, in most Power 5 games, they're just playing straight up. But, you know, right. they're just, my man is better than your man.
Exactly. I was going to say that there's more man play, and we just don't outman you.
Outman you. So when you get into conference play, what you find, and in my experience at the other institution, I'll just call it that, you see a lot of trapping, a lot of trick defenses. You know what I mean? So they're trying to scheme you out. So that's what you have in SWAC play. And what I do anticipate for the grad students that are here, I anticipate their game to really take off, because now you're going to see some things that you will fit in a lot better with the way you're running your offenses. You know, I just think that their skill level will take over because they've played at that level before. And now you're playing, so now you're getting to something that's kind of steady. You know, it's a little different. And I tell people all the time when you're coaching, you're going to see Mississippi Valley again. You're going to see Pine Bluff again, right? The teams, because you play everybody twice. The non-conference games, you only play them once. So they could throw something at you that you don't see anywhere else.
No doubt about it. But you're going to see these teams
again. And so now, if you won, you want to see what you did well. You want to improve on those things. If you did lose, you're going to say, okay, what happened? Let's go pick out, usually in games, it's 5 plays. You go pick out 5 plays that cost you the lead or had you down and you never could recover. Basketball is in sets of 3s. 3 stops, 3 scores. That's how you cut down leads. You cut down leads that way, first way. The second way you cut down leads is you get to the free throw line and no time is going off the clock. So that's how you cut out leads, and that's how you increase leads in college basketball.
Very good. When you talk about this, and we know that football is king in the South, football is king in Texas, football is king in the SWAC. But sometimes I feel like we're missing a huge opportunity to establish ourselves, even though we're smaller institutions, through our basketball programs. And with this portal action now available, and NIL, I might add, do you see that as a potential game changer and leverage for HBCU programs?
Yes, I would say that basketball, from a historical point, has been the only sport that has been the great equalizer when you start talking about Power 5 school versus all other institutions. It's been the transfers, because the transfer in basketball, you can go play. It's not like football, okay? So football, you're not talking about skill positions. You're talking about an offensive and defensive line. That's 300 pounds, right?
Right.
But in basketball, if you're a 3-star, you're a 3-star, and it's only 5 people. So that basketball is the only sport where transfers can come in and have an impact. If please forgive me to the listening audience. One of the successes we have at the other institution here with Mike Davis, we brought in transfers.
Man, you can say Texas Southern every time. I give you 2. I give you 2 for this interview. That was your first one right there.
Okay. Well, I'm saying, but if you thought about the success that we had, it was we brought in a lot of transfers. That's what we did. And so when we got to play those schools and Coach Smith beat Washington State. What does he have? Transfers, because that's 5-on-5. See, that's basketball to basketball. And I think that's the great equalizer. And so, yes, the transfer portal is good. NLI coming. And if you want to really speak about the NLI piece, that's where it's going to take all of the Panther Nation to get behind and start funding these NLIs and start funding the athletic department so that we can do some of those great things and get some of these great student athletes to come and be a part of all of our sports programs.
Well, sir, it's ironic. It's ironic that you brought that side note up, because earlier this week I released an episode talking of something of that same magnitude. You have the dynamic money that is flowing in college athletics right now, okay? And it's no exception to the rule. Is not going to fall in our pathways per se. And with the way things are structured right now, we can only get so much from our TV deals. We're not going to get the billion-dollar commitments from the other brands that we have for our TV deals. And the only logical reason that I saw that we could start in football, and this is going to make people cringe, we're going to have to possibly increase our season tickets. And the reason I say that is because the average ticket price for an NFL game is $151. The average ticket price for a NCAA Division I game is $175. Our average season tickets are anywhere between $25 and $45, $35 per ticket. We're way below the Mendoza line, and we're missing out on some opportunities that we can help within ourselves. Now, I know I kind of took a deep turn. We can get back on. What's your response to that, sir?
My response is, having been at the other institutions, I think that those are questions that the interim AD, John Gardner, will answer. I think he has a plan for those things and how do we can increase the revenue. Again, it always still goes back to every alumni doing your part in giving back to your institution. You can't beat the alumni giving. If you're an alumni and you are a former student athlete, and you help us get this off the ground. Help us get that fundraising already started. For example, the question would be, what is the amount? And I can't answer that. That's out of my purview. But that's a Mr. John Gardner question, and he has all the plans. He has that already established, things he wants to work on getting the alumni together. So if you were here school started in 1876, if you were here in 1950, if you were here in 1951, anytime you were here and you were a student athlete, then we asking you to be a part of what Mr. Gardner is laying out, a plan for us to be financially stable and financially successful.
All right, and that was our PSA for TV for today. We're going to get back to the broadcast. We're excited to have you on board, sir. It all begins on Monday, taking on the Alcorn State Braves. And it's another good son returning, Coach Landon Bussey, who was very integral in the Panthers championship runs here with Coach Smith. He is doing a phenomenal job with the Braves. They are defending SWAC champions from last year. An excellent program, and he has turned that thing around with the aid of the portal real quickly. Coach, I know you probably hadn't had a chance to do a lot of diving in the X's and O's, but how do you see that matchup for your call on Monday night?
Well, what I always think is I call it the teacher and the student. It's the teacher will be Byron Smith, and the student was Coach Bussey. So they both know each other well, so there won't be any secrets. Okay, if you look at them, they both run similar styles. No secrets. So now it comes down to execution. Who's going to execute better? In games like this, when there's a lot of familiarity, what you look at is you're going to look at turnovers, always a key. Whoever wins the turnover battle will have the most likely chance to win the game. Okay, then you're going to go into free throws. Who shoots the most free throws? That tells a lot. So is it going to be a jump shot game, or we're going to have people who are penetrating and getting to the free throw line? Those are two key factors. And the third key factor will be rebound. Long shot, long rebound leads to layups. Are we getting those? Or just long shot, long rebound, and somebody else comes down and takes another long shot. So I expect it to be a real intense game. I expect it to be a real physical game. But I'll be looking on the call about execution. Who's running their offenses? Who's executing? Did somebody miss a screen? Are they missing assignments on offense and defense? So that's what you look for in games where there's a lot of familiarity between the two coaches.
Okay. Well, we're looking forward to your call, my man. You're not a novice in the mic. Have enjoyed what I've been able to hear over the years, and I'm just happy to say that you're part of the open mic family. We have a little simple custom here at the open mic when we close out our segments, and we want to give you some closing thoughts and comments, sir, and the floor is now yours.
Well, I'm really excited about this opportunity. Look forward to working with the Open Mic Network, and just looking forward to connecting with PVAMU alumni fans of athletics. Again, we are just peacock proud to be a part of this, and we want you to come out and support the basketball teams, not only just basketball, but all of our programs. When our student athletes see you in the stands, not just for Texas Southern, but when they see all of you in the stands, it makes a difference. Home court advantage is real, and so we need to make sure that all of our events, when we play at home, we have that home court advantage. And we can't do that without you.
All right, very well said, sir. And you said all that without even saying Texas Southern again. And but no, we're welcoming with open arms. He is Coach Sky with the Open Mic Broadcast Network. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. We thank you guys so much for joining in with us on this week's episode of the SWAC Zone. Don't forget, you can follow me on Twitter at the Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel is the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the website, obnradio.com. And if you have one of those smart devices and you want to keep up with what's going on at the Open Mic Broadcast Network, all you have to do is say, hey, play the latest episode of the Mike Prince Show, and you'll have everything that you need. My time is far spent, and I must exit stage left. But until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.
We are the station designed with you in mind, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, where we are serving the community through faith and athletics since 2002. We are located in Prairie View, Texas, where we are dedicated to serving the local community with sporting events, church services, and information. You're invited to tune in and to join us each Sunday morning for Temple of Refuge Ministries live broadcast, Building the Kingdom One Soul at a Time, Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Central Time. Each Monday through Friday, tune in to hear the Mike Prince Show as he covers the world of HBCU sports and beyond. This show has become the driving force for daily information when it comes to HBCU athletics since 2002. And tune in to listen to the SWAC Zone each Saturday mornings. The Open Mic Broadcast Network covers Little League, high school, and college athletics. We also broadcast local community parades and events. And you can check us out on YouTube for our latest content. If you would like to help us support our broadcast, you may do so by making a donation at www.obnradio.com. We are the station designed with you in mind, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, where we are serving the community through faith and athletics since 2002.